everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Daniela Schwartzman. I'm the Strategic Partnerships Manager at BayWa RE, and I'm super stoked to have SMA with us today. We are going to talk about repowering, and that repowering is not just a repair job. I'm super stoked about this one and honored to be joined today by Tanya Layfield, Territory Sales Manager, and Brendan Davis, Distribution Sales Director. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Daniela. We're happy to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. So while everybody is logging on, just a little bit of housekeeping, and maybe you're not familiar with BayWa RE. So let me just share a few things, who BayWa is and what we do. So at BayWa, your success is our main priority, and we do that in a couple of ways, whether it's forecasting, with your detailed forecasting, you can make sure that your customers get the product you get the product for your customers that you need. You can plan effectively with us. And your dedicated account manager will always be there to provide you with your guidance. The web store, BayWa has a really simple purchasing process with access to a user-friendly web store. You'll have access to your up-to-date pricing and immediate ordering 24/7. Commercial services, you can benefit from expert planning and precise product inventory forecasting for your commercial projects. And our customer service desk for commercial services is there to assist you with any kind of commercial design questions, planning, and more. You can enjoy consistent pricing across all strategically located U.S. warehouses, eliminating any unexpected fees. And you have access to the products that you need wherever you are in the country. And that is thanks to the strategically located warehouses, with the latest warehouse openings in Charlotte, North Carolina, and in Orlando, Florida. So stay tuned on those grand openings coming very soon. Job site delivery, also very important. You can receive your products directly at your job site or construction site with a convenient direct job site delivery. You bypass the need for middle warehouse. So if you are a US-based solar installer not yet working with BayWa, explore the links that are posted in the chats, and you can discover how your business can benefit from collaborating with us. And you can reach a representative right away. Just follow one of those links. So we're looking forward to being in touch. And now, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Brendan. Super, super stoked about this very hot topic, because this is much more than just a repair job. As the title of the presentation says, it's also a great business opportunity for any installer going forward. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks again for having us, Daniela, and the BayWa team. Love working with you guys. And yeah, let me pull up the presentation for today, and we'll get started here. All right.
Brendan, just one thing I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Please make sure you see the Q&A button. Just open this right now, because this is your way how to communicate with us, asking questions, posting comments, so I can make sure your questions can be answered. So just keep posting those in the Q&A, not in the chat, please. Keep them coming. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, well, today our focus is going to be looking at repowering and how to make that a opportunity within your business rather than a source of frustration, because there is quite a bit of opportunity, as we'll see as we go through this deck. Always starting out here with our lovely legal disclaimer from our legal team. Today you've got myself. I'm the sales director of our distribution channel, and Tanya Layfield, a territory sales manager in the Southeast. Tanya, if you want to say hi real quick, and any intro you want to give real quick.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Tanya Layfield. I have been with SMA for about 2 years. I started in renewables about 11 years ago, and prior to that, I managed a service-based company for 17 years. So we're talking my language, and we're ready to help. Nice to meet everyone.
Great. Thanks, Tanya. And starting out here, we just want to do a little poll question.
Yeah, let's get right to it. So what types of systems do you install? We want to know who you are so we can make sure we tailor the presentations to your needs. Are you residential, commercial, or are you installing both? So just a quick poll here. Share with us what types of systems you install.
Let some of those answers roll in. I've also been in the solar industry for, I think, 15 years, going on April of this year. So when I got my start, we were largely installing a lot of the systems that we'll be talking about today in our presentation. So we're getting to that point in our industry where the first systems out in the world are getting towards that time for an inverter swap. And once we hit that, there's a lot of other options we can kind of tack on to just that simple inverter swap.
All right, let's close the poll here. Residential, 10%, commercial, 38%. The majority does both here with 52%. Brendan, is that surprising? Anything you want to comment here?
No, that's kind of what we expected. I think the most obvious opportunity for repowering, and people probably the one that they hear about most, is those customers that have an inverter on their home and they give you a ring and they want to figure out what to do with it, or potentially your legacy customers that are ready to repower and maybe do some upgrades as well. So not surprising. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out the commercial world if they haven't done that in the past. And we're also working on some content to help you all figure that piece out as well that we hope to bring to you here in the future. So
thank you. Thanks, everybody.
So here's real quick kind of what we'll take a look at today. Quick introduction. We already started that. Why repower? Why right now? And talking through, really what does the word repower mean? Go through some common misconceptions, and then really trying to come away with a plan to become profitable with this kind of work, and how do I track that work and make it an opportunity for growth in my business. And then last, leaving you with some resources and some next steps that we have available for you all. So another quick poll question to kick us off.
Yeah. Now we want to know whether you're already offering a service repowering as a part of your business today. So where are you at? Macy, if you could roll the poll question. It's going to take a little while. So you have some time to think about this.
Yeah.
So are you already offering this? Yes. Only if we have to know or no, I plan to do so in the future, though. So you're here for this webinar. So if you could share with us, here it is. So do you offer services and repowering as a part of your business today? You can choose one. Yes. Or yes, but only if we have to. No. Or no, but I plan to do so in the future.
And we see the answer all over the place. We're hoping
Yes, we do.
We're hoping to convince you to fall in the first category, or if not, the latter category works for us too.
Exactly. So there's opportunity in each of those categories. So for those of you who are already offering this, you'll learn today how to streamline the processes and where you can add extra resources and help. But if you don't do so yet, or you plan so in the future, or we have to that's when we do it. This presentation is going to be super interesting for you to see how you can make this work for your business. Let's share the results. I hope you all could see it. So majority yes, but also opportunities in all of those categories. If you are not repowering yet, we'd be interested in learning, why. Is there a specific reason why you're not considering repowering yet? Could you post this in the Q&A? We are curious to learn your answers. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Daniela. So let's just go through a little background on SMA to start out with. SMA has been building inverters for 40 plus years internationally, and the US subsidiary SMA America, based in Rockland, California, near Sacramento, just celebrated their 25th anniversary last year. So we've been here since the inception of the solar industry in the United States. We're one of the first, if not the first inverter connected to many grids out there as net energy metering programs got started across the country. We have 21 gigawatts of production capacity that we ship all over the world to over 200 countries. We have tons of monitored devices on our Sunny portal. That's our monitoring platform. And we have a really diversified product offering from home, business, large scale, storage, energy management, and we have a focus on O&M and service. We even do some hydrogen stuff in other parts of the world. So our business is really broad reaching. Most people that have been in the solar industry for 5 years or more have probably installed or worked with SMA at some point in time. If you're newer to the industry, however, I will recognize that and you're in the residential, you may not have as long of a history with SMA, but trust me, we're out there, and our brand is really well known for its quality and reliability. Just to walk you through a little bit, what is repowering? Well, repowering in our minds is the opportunity to upgrade an existing photovoltaic systems inverter and enhance it and maintain the original system functionality, but potentially bring additional feature sets to your customers. So if you look here, this is kind of a timeline of our older inverters, starting clear back here with these older ones that were transformer based and very, very heavy to hang on the walls, through some of our transformer-less inverters and to our current portfolio, the Sunny Boy Smart Energy, which is what we'll be focusing on as a product to do your residential repowerings. And so this chart here really is to focus on the opportunity of repowering out there in the US market, right? And so the orange yellow dotted box here kind of highlights the years of 2010 to 2017. So those are the inverters or the systems installed, the majority with a string inverter, that are probably towards the end of their life. Most string inverters have a useful life of anywhere from 10 to 15 years. We've seen them stretch longer than that, especially some of the older transformer-based ones, but most of those will need a new inverter in the relative future, and a lot of them have come offline already. SMA during this time period from 2010 to 2017 alone sold 250,000 residential string inverters. So just with SMA, not considering any of the other competing string inverters at that time, there's an opportunity of 250,000 systems that need to be repowered out there today. And if you start to pull in some of the TPO fleets, leases, and PPAs and things like that, that number actually starts to grow even beyond that. So the opportunity here is, north of 500,000 systems that are going to need repowered essentially immediately or in the next coming years. So this is a great opportunity to diversify, your how you bring in profit into your company, besides just going out and doing new installs with inverters and storage.
Brandon,
and so here's
there is a question related to overall, because you mentioned all the different areas you're active in. Mark has a question here for you. ESS add-ons are a large portion of our work. What residential products are compatible with SMA SBSE?
You said ESS, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. We are working on two. We're working on a partnership, and we're working on a SMA home storage battery that we're looking to bring out at the latter part of the year. And then the partnership, which I can't reveal just yet, will essentially add an approved battery to the list to work with the Sunny Boy Smart Energy hybrid inverter. So we've got a couple things in the works. We'll have more information right towards the end of Q1, but Our big focus today is looking really at kind of the initial getting the, step one, get the customer system back up and running. So they're saving money. Again, we hate when we see, customers call and they suddenly went from a $50 bill or no bill up to a $300 or $400 bill in the summer. And they want to have a solution quickly so that they can start saving that money again. And so you'll maybe recognize some of these older inverters. You've got some older Fronius inverters, an old ABB next to an SMA inverter there in the middle, and a Keiko inverter. And essentially the Sunny Boy Smart Energy, which we'll talk about here, is a fantastic replacement for any one of those inverters out there. So won't spend a ton of time going over the Sunny Boy Smart Energy, but we're happy to connect with you afterwards and give you more of the ins and outs of this product, because we really want to focus on more some strategic business model pieces of this. But just to give you the quick lay of the land of the Sunny Boy Smart Energy, we do have 6 power classes. The smaller power classes are a 3.8, 4.8, 5.8, and 7.7. Why the odd numbers? Well, those line up perfectly with a breaker size from 20 to 40 amps. And then the larger power classes, 9.6 and 11.5, again, 50 and 60 amp breakers. You have the opportunity to put in 3 strings in the smaller inverter, 4 strings in the larger inverter. And something that's going to be really important for repowering specifically is this very wide operating window. Some of the older panels go very low in their string sizing, but being able to operate across this whole window is very, very important. And it is a hybrid inverter, so you have the ability to add batteries in the future. So lots of different advantages. We've got shade fix technology to deal with any shaded arrays. We have extended warranties and a few of these other things that we'll really dive into more in detail in the next coming slides. Just real quick, if we want to kind of look at the differences between the 2 power classes, again, I noted the difference of the maximum power point trackers, the amount of strings that you can put in them. The big difference is a few more pounds on the larger power classes, and a little bit longer of a chassis, about 4 or 5 inches. So other than that, the footprint is pretty similar, and it's a wall mount, so it should easily walk right into any of these existing systems and be able to swap out the old inverter without much rework.
Brendan, if
Yeah.
I may ask a question here, what would you recommend for replacing both Sunny Central 500 kilowatts and old Selectria large inverters?
Yeah, well, happy to take that question offline, but that's going to largely depend on the interconnection voltage. It's probably going to be our Peak 3 Flex line, but our applications engineers can take a look at any old drawings, single line drawings, or anything that you have, and then basically give you a determination of what might be the right solution for us. So after this call, let's get your contact information and any specifics that you can share with us on the site, and we can get that to our applications engineers for a proposed solution. But we do lots of repowering work on the CNI side as well.
Speaking of which, there's another question. Can you handle older SunPower arrays which are positively grounded?
Positively grounded. So there's a lot of nuance in that. And we do have some solutions, largely include the need for some third-party components to deal with that grounding issue. But yes, we also have solutions for that as well. I'm not going to focus on that today because we're really, again, focused on more of the kind of the business model and how to approach the repowering opportunity. But we do have a technical training coming up with the Solar Academy, and we'll also be doing a little bit more of a deep dive on some of this stuff at NABCEP. So several opportunities to kind of go deeper than we will today on the technical side of this in future webinars and trainings.
Can I shoot one more question your way?
Yep.
We have to pull permits for inverter swaps. This usually will require the addition of RSD or MLPE on the roof. I held off on SMA in the past because I didn't want to use third-party equipment. Does SMA have something in the pipeline for RSD or MLPE?
Well, we've had so this inverter, the Sunny Boy Smart Energy, pairs with AP Smart RSD, the single one-to-one with panels. So you have the ability to use that. And we are also launching a revised version of our JMS device that will be compatible with the Sunny Boy Smart Energy, as well as all of our product line, residential and commercial. So a single device that'll work across the whole product line. But today you absolutely have the option of the AP Smart device.
That's great. And then Mark has a follow-up question. I believe this has something to do with the slide here and with the data provided. The 200% oversizing has been a question we have encountered production shaving. Why is this listed?
Because it's possible, right? So this always becomes like a very good engineering question, right? Is yes, 200% oversizing is possible. Why do we do that? Well, largely it's because pairing it with a battery allows that energy to not be clipped and go directly on the DC bus into the battery. Now, if you're doing repowering, you're not including a battery. Sometimes you may want to add panels and continue to have the same AC interconnection. Well, you may pick up, without going into too much detail, 20, 30% more power by adding panels, but you lose, in the course of a year, 2 to 3% of that because of the clipping loss. Well, net for the customer, there's significant benefit to picking up 20 to 30% more power, especially with the prices of panels today compared to when they probably installed the system originally. And so really it's a cost per kilowatt hour if you want to boil it down to an LCOE question. Sure, like everybody, I think there's a big misconception that clipping equals bad or poor design or something like that. And I think that's really erroneous to think in that binary. Really, clipping is something you plan for and is acceptable as long as the financial calculation makes sense to do so. So if your panels are costing you $10 a watt like they used to, then clipping is bad. If your panels are 30 cents a watt, clipping is probably fine because the net benefit of the extra energy production, your cost per kilowatt hour is still way cheaper than your power bill. So happy to deep dive into that conversation with someone. I put a lot of thought into that, but that is not going to be the focus of the webinar today. And there's a lot of nuance in there. So happy to talk through that. When we start to talk about multiple planes on a roof and things like that, oversizing can be really a great design strategy.
Thank you. Keep your questions coming, everyone, and especially those that prevent you from repowering today. So we want to know those.
Happy to answer them. Speaking of, there's a few kind of misconceptions that we hear about when people are thinking about repowering, right? I don't want to be responsible for the mistakes that someone else did previously on a site, right? We hear that quite a bit. You don't want to, if you're the last contractor to touch something, you're the first phone call from a homeowner when something's not going quite right. We'll talk a little bit today about how to scope work appropriately so the customer has a good sense of what you're doing and what you're not doing, and how to avoid through proper site visits, getting yourself into a minefield really quickly. The other question is, we see, people proposing that, the system's really old. It's better to just replace it with a new one. Sure, that's an option, but the cost differential, and as we were just kind of talking about in the DC oversizing question of the levelized cost of electricity, how much is that that cost per kilowatt hour being produced by the solar system? If you go and require your customer to reinvest $10, $15, $20,000 on a new system, when you could use everything that's there existing and for a few $1,000s swap it out the inverter, that's a much better investment for them. And proposing that to a customer versus someone who comes in and just wants to swap everything out, you should be able to show that customer that you can do a better job by them by getting them a lower cost of electricity. because those panels, most of them are warranted for 25 years. The useful life is only at half when a string inverter is at its end of life. And so the best way to do that is just swap out the old inverter and bring them into the future. Another one we hear is, no one will pay me to work on their system. I don't want to waste my time or lose money. Definitely hear that one, and this can be a little bit of a tricky one to navigate sometimes, depending on workmanship warranties and things like that. But there's other ways to get value besides money, but we highly recommend you get money. No one goes out to fix your dryer or your wash machine, your HVAC system for free. And solar systems should be considered just like an appliance or fixture on a house, like anything else. There should be a cost associated with going out and doing troubleshooting, doing work, and things like that. So definitely don't want you to be held back by asking your customers for money. And the last one is, I've never worked on string inverters. Well, if you've never worked on string inverters, the great thing about repowering is it can be one of the easy ways to get into string inverters, because 90% of the work is done for you. You're literally just making sure that you can swap the old inverter for the new one. And there's, sometimes a limited amount of conduit rework and things like that needs to be done. But we will also be sharing with you a bunch of training resources that can get you comfortable working with those string inverters. And just to point out here, one customer that we work quite a bit, great customer of BayWa, is American Solar and Roofing. Joy has been doing solar for, I think, 20 plus years, or if not very, very close. We did a webinar with her.
25-year anniversary.
I thought so. Yeah, she's right. She's right there with us. We did a webinar with her a few months ago, just talking about it. But she has made service and repowering specifically a part of her business that allows for that real long-term stability. She's been in long enough that she goes back to her own customers and is able to repower her own customers 10, 15 years later when that inverter is no longer functioning. And when she does that, bring them up and add some new features that Tanya is going to add. There's lots of people in this industry that know a lot about repowering, and we'll give you some information today, but we're looking forward to connecting with you all afterwards. Even if you don't have 25 years worth of customers, guess what? There's a lot of solar installers that are no longer around anymore, and a lot of customers out there that don't know where to turn. And one of our goals here at SMA is to empower you all with the information you need, and ultimately connect you with those customers that reach out to us, and give you the opportunity to go out and work with them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Tanya, if you're ready, to kind of take us through the next part.
Hi, everyone. So where I'm picking up here is just to give you guys line of sight on how to segue into repowering and add service to your business model so you can diversify and gain another addition to your income revenue. And how really the best course of action here is to just start with a plan. Make sure that you understand who on your team is going to do what, and are they trained? And make sure that they are trained. Don't just dive into it and then be like chasing your tail out in the field. The best way to do it is to plan it, train it. And we have some viable resources within SMA, and you can do things like NABCEP certification to make that happen. Again, you also want to make customer contacts with your existing customers, gathering collateral, making sure that you're prepared before you send a man to the site, because you want a profitable organization. So rather than just shooting somebody over there to see what's going on, get as much information as you can. What do we have going on the site? What problems are you going through, etc. And then look at it from a higher level. We're not just going out to swap an inverter. We are going to take care of a customer, manage that customer from here on out, and be able to upsell. And then once again, you're going to always want to, with any business, track your profitability at the end of the day. Next slide. A really good process to just get started is to have an internal contact way, either a chat, internal office personnel that gets the initial discovery done, schedules the truck roll, and then does the lower end side of scheduling the RMAs, monitoring, setup, and billing, rather than having a guy who's making $50 an hour standing on site scheduling an RMA. When you send your crew out, it's a little bit different than your traditional install crew. It's maybe 1 or 2 guys in a truck. It's a smaller truck. You're not rolling out there with 100 million men like you're doing an installation. This is a completely different animal. And then, of course, you have your sales technicians too, so that you can do this 1 of 2 ways. You can have your sales team be trained, or you can have your engineers be trained on closing that gap. And there's a couple different ways that you can handle that from a financial standpoint, where you're able to upsell and actually capitalize on that site visit. Next slide. You want to set your customers' expectations up front, get as much information as you can, prepare them for the costs, walk them through what you're going to do, and then, of course, follow up with them so that you can close that sale. Next slide. We are doing some NABCEP certification training here coming up on 3/18 and 3/19. We have a home repowering and a commercial repowering. We're really going to get thick into some more information, and the QR code is listed here if you're interested in attending that, or if anyone is attending NABCEP and wants to be a part of those shows. Next slide. I feel like I just want to do jazz hands instead of next slide. Just
if I could see you, I would say go for it. All I can see is the slideshow.
Oh, everyone else saw me do it, so that's fun. So one thing that you want to do to make sure that your company is making money, because you really can 10x your profit by getting into the service side. To say that it's not a pain in the butt is a lie. It is a lie. But if you start with a good plan, you can have profitability and a pretty streamlined service organization. So what you want to do is document everything with photos. Going back costs money. Properly define the scope of work. Like, what needs to be done? Are there other existing issues? Like, the homeowner's not going to know everything. They're going to tell you, well, the breaker keeps shutting off. Well, take a look at all of the equipment and have line of sight on everything that you're going to do, because less trips equals more money. And then, of course, look at the customer's frustration and capitalize on what you can do to help them regain confidence, because you're selling on the defense. Regain confidence with their solar array and give them something to get excited about versus just swapping an inverter for a few $1,000. Then, of course, send a nice proposal, professional proposal. Don't just like, here's a chicken scratch. Yeah, it's $100, whatever it is, and then leave the site. Give them something good that they can see that the level of professionalism is going to follow them through the entire project. Next slide.
I think that, just to comment there, that second step too is really important, is defining that scope of work. When I was talking about the misconceptions previously, this is where you want to make sure you are, again, being very clear with the homeowner of what you're there to do and what you're not there to do. If you do see existing issues, if some of this work is permitted, some of it's not permitted, depending on of your AHJ and your utility and what you're doing on the site. It may just be a simple inverter swap, but if you notice other issues in the main panel or with the electrical system and things like that, definitely call those out, document those with the homeowner, so you're not getting blamed for something later. And that also could be an opportunity to upsell fixing things. If you, depending on the skill level of your electricians, if you can, find other things out there while you're doing the solar inspection and the inverter swap, it's an opportunity to bring more revenue into your company by maybe doing things like, adding a dryer plug or something as simple as a transfer switch or a EV charger and things like that. So I think having eyes wide open on these and documenting it really can change the way you look at this opportunity.
If I could jump in here, this process you outlined, Tanya, is like super, super valuable. And I heard you say like a couple of pointers where profitability comes into play. So could you elaborate a little bit more as a solar installer? How do you really get started? I mean, we are assuming a homeowner calls you and says, like, my system isn't working. Is there anything else you would recommend anyone who thinks like, oh yeah, this sounds interesting to me? How do you get started and how do you make it profitable at the end of the day?
So a homeowner, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Tanya.
I was like, that's on the next slide. No.
yeah. We've got a couple things on the next slide here, Daniela.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we just push it then to the next slide?
Do we want to hop into the poll question?
All right, let's do the poll question first. Do you feel prepared to troubleshoot and repower string inverter systems? One choice, yes, somewhat, not at all. Do you feel prepared to troubleshoot and repower string inverter systems? All right, those 41% that said that already are in the business of repowering. We want to hear where you're at. Yes, somewhat, not at all. For the most part, it looks like yes is coming in and as a majority, 2/3 here, but there's also somewhat and not at all. So how would you comment these results?
Well, I'm talking to BayWa customers, so I'm not surprised. It's depending on again, a lot of it depends on the amount of time you've spent in the industry and whether you've dealt with string inverters before or not. It's the original solar technology, and for people who've been in the industry, it's maybe one of the simplest. But again, if it's something you haven't dealt with, it can be a little daunting to switch technologies. So that's why we wanted to just kind of check for understanding, see how comfortable people are, and again, point out those training resources that we have coming up. And even that just exist on our website through the Solar Academy. That do things as basic as talking you through a string inverter solar system. So
thank you.
Honestly, I love that people came forward and said, no, not at all. Because I find that when I talk to people, they don't want to, divulge that information, and then they have no place to start. If you want to take this to the next level and be able to work on any house, anywhere, anytime, you really want to be an expert in that craft and give the homeowner that same confidence. And we're happy here at SMA to help you get through that process.
Yeah.
And on that note, please post it in the Q&A, what it is that is giving you challenges, what it is where SMA can help you, what prevents you from being in the business of repowering, or any other questions you might have. So keep them coming in the Q&A.
Yep. And so just to kind of ping off the question that you asked previously, Daniela, of like, how do you make this profitable? It's like, well, obviously the one thing we're out there to do is swap the inverters, but there's a couple of nice features of the Sunny Boy Smart Energy and some upgrades that I think will add a lot of value to homeowners and allow you to basically upsize the sale and maximize your time at the site. Because once you go out there, all that time is sunk into being in there, and you can't necessarily get that back. So while you're there, you might as well make it as profitable as possible.
My turn?
Your turn. I was just giving you a nice transition.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. So we have a few really cool features that you can sell the homeowner, or give them an extra layer of confidence is a better way of putting it. Their system is down. You're out there. They're already on the defense. They feel like they've been bamboozled. Their original installer is missing. Now you have something that can give them an added layer of peace of mind. With the energy meter, it's a pretty simple thing to do, and it's going to go ahead and monitor the homeowners, not just their production, but their consumption as well. So a lot of people are like, my system doesn't work. well, this is how much power you're using, this is how much power you're producing. And that's a viable question all the way around. And it prepares them for the future as well with battery integration. You could easily upsell this between $500 and $750 with an hour your time and make anywhere from $150 to $400 extra on that truck roll. Another thing that we have is SMA's Backup Secure. This is my favorite thing to call the margarita plug because people remember it and they know the difference between Backup Secure and Backup Select. The margarita plug is rad. It's a single switch, a piece of conduit, a box, a plate, and a cover with minimal electrical experience. You hang that right below the inverter. It doesn't cost you very much money. It's an easy $500 to $750 upsell, or you can throw it in just to make the customer happy to get the other part of the business and make a profit on this with under an hour of labor on your time. So what happens is if the grid goes down, you have a single plug or a single switch. You walk out, manually turn it, and you have some source of power, assuming that the sun is up. So it comes from the PV array. Those are rad.
The reason we call it the margarita plug as a term and endearment is that you could still run your blender and make margaritas in a power outage. So.
Out there with your boombox and your margarita machine.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and then we have our Backup Select, which this is a coveted item. I've been waiting for a long time for this to come out, and I love this. And I'm not just saying this because I work at SMA. This is something that I want personally. That is a critical loads panel, for lack of a better term. You actually can take, in the event of an outage, up to 3,800 watts of backup power that runs directly from the PV. So people ask you, what happens if, the power goes out? I still have power, right? Well, guess what? Now you do. So this is a really great upsell for your customers. It's not very expensive from BayWa. If you get with your rep, you'll be able to find out what that would cost you and see with 2 or 3 hours of work, what you could add to that repertoire for the customer and give the customer something cool to show their friends and get more and more referrals. And it's just a really neat component.
Yeah. And I'll just point out one other thing here is the 3,800 watts is the limit for the the smaller power classes, the 3.8 to the 7.7. 5,700 watts is the limit for the 9.6 and 11.5. So technically, the inverter could produce as much as the DC power is available. However, we limit that down to ensure good customer service, right? You don't want your customer constantly overriding or pulling more power than that rated minimum, and therefore having a situation where they have the system turning on and off and on and off and on and off. If they do overdraw the 3,800 or the 5,700 watts, the system does turn off, but it comes back within about a minute because we're not connected to the grid any longer. We don't have to wait that 5-minute startup time. So really great thing to throw those critical loads on, maybe a modem, maybe your refrigerator, the garage door opener, a few circuits of lights and plugs to be able to keep people up and running. And so instead of having to invest in that whole suite that comes along with batteries, they can do just a few of the essential loads and make sure that in that grid outage they have it automatically backed up during the daytime rather than having to do it manually like with the Backup Secure.
This is amazing. Yeah, there's a technical question in relation to this. How does the RSD work with these?
The RSD, yeah, okay, so that's a great question because someone remembers back when we used to call Backup Secure Power Supply. Once we introduced RSD, we had an issue where the system would go down and the RSD would initiate, and that would effectively turn off the solar panels. So now with either one of these solutions, we have a module that gets fitted into the inverter. It's called the Backup Start module. And you put that into the inverter, and that has a little battery on it that allows the rapid shutdown devices to turn back on. So it gives them that signal to turn back on when the inverter knows it's disconnected from the grid. And when that happens, then your panels come back on. And so the RSD issue we had previously is no longer an issue.
So it works with the RSD. You just need the backup start card to make sure if there's rapid shutdown on the project that that the devices do what they're supposed to do, and it just slides right into the inverter. It's pretty simple.
Yep. And I would also add, just as a side note here, for those who maybe work with DC string inverters that have optimizers, rapid shutdown for us is not a requirement of the system architecture. It is a requirement of code. So if you have ground mounts or jurisdictions that allow you to not add rapid shutdown devices on legacy installs and things like that, we do not require rapid shutdown to have our inverter function. It is literally code compliance only. So if you do not need rapid shutdown per your AHJ or the type of install you're doing, it is not required to have the inverter function.
Good point.
Thank you.
I'm like, what were we talking about again? Okay, here we go. I was just whipping through that. So another really great thing that you can do when you're in the field is look at your DC AC ratios on the initial inverter on site. The breaker that it's landing on, again, with your pre-discovery, you're taking pictures, you're doing a site assessment, you're looking at the breaker box. With the higher DC AC ratios and the higher power classes that are available now, if the customer has some failing modules on the roof and you need to replace those where you're making more power, you still are going to be able to land that on the same breaker without going in and having to land a new breaker, get different types of plugs. It's a lot more user friendly and it's a lot easier to just come in, swap, and move on. So that's something that we can give you more information on as well. Another cool thing that you could do, and I've seen done quite a bit with my installer base, is annual service agreements. So you're basically going to be putting this customer into your own monitoring portal. You may as well say, you know what, annually we can do a service check for you. Say you have 100 of those at $150 a year. They have peace of mind and you have a residual income flow. And then you have your monitoring set up. This is, again, something you're going to want to have somebody in the office doing. That maybe you're somebody that's not being paid as much as a certified journeyman electrician. That way they get that all set up. They go in and they set up the SMA Smart Connected, which is a proactive monitoring service that SMA provides at no charge. Where if we see error codes or in the rare event that there's an RMA, it's automatically shipped to you. So you look like a real hero without actually even looking at what's going on. But you want to make sure that you're adding that component to the Smart Connected feature when you're doing that. And that's probably likely going to be your internal personnel. Another thing too is, these people they're scared because they just lost their inverter. They found out it had a 10-year warranty. The company's not around anymore. What do I do? So, this is a really good opportunity to discuss an extended warranty with the customer. And that extended warranty goes further than the installation company. So that inverter remains under warranty, and that gives the customer an extra layer of peace of mind. So when they're feeling uncomfortable, like, well, my first guy disappeared and I don't know what to do. Well, you're ensuring that their warranty is extended for 25 years from the manufacturer. Next slide.
One thing I just add there too is that Smart Connected feature is free in part of every SMA residential and commercial inverter you buy. So not anything extra to purchase there.
Yes. I'm like, no, where are we again? Okay, labor efficiency. Yes, this is really critical for your business model. So one thing that happens largely with all contractors, they're out turning a dollar, but are they making any money? And do they even know if they're making money? Have they ever sat down and looked and said, am I making any money? What is my true cost of administration? What is my cost of man in a truck? What does it cost me to do these projects? A way to do that is to track your billable hours versus your time spent. Identify the jobs that take longer than you estimated and refine your estimating tool based on real data. So look at the job post-job, look at the job pre-job, and say, how did this shake out? I bid this for 3 hours of my time. It took me 5.5. to do that. Sorry.
And I think, yeah, the important part there is when you find those inconsistencies is ask the question, why did that happen? Was it an anomaly? Did the truck break down? And so we had to replace a tire and someone, lost a bunch of hours, or, did we not have the right materials? Did we not have the right crew members? Is there something we could refine in our estimating tool or the way we're doing these projects so this doesn't happen again? And the more frequently you can do those little refinements, the better you'll get at this, and that profitability will start to increase significantly. I think Tanya mentioned at the beginning of this that you can really make this a super profitable part of your business, but it's not easy. It's not just it happens overnight. And so it's really, really important to do this tracking and refinement.
Yeah, you'll find who in the field needs additional training, who in the field is productive, and who in the field has unaccountable time that's costing the company money. Like there's a lot of things that come up as you start actually tracking where your men are and women in the field. And it's viable information. It tells you how long does it take if I send Joe versus if I send Brandon to do the job. That's a 2-hour job with Brandon. It's a 6-hour job if I send Joe. So now you're not making as much money. And if you're not tracking that, that's step one. And I agree with that on even a brand new install. And you guys probably already know this, and I'm not saying anything you don't already know. And then when you're loading up your trucks, don't count on your guys to just go out and load the truck. Have a load sheet. Make them verify the load sheet and turn that in. If they get to the site and say, well, I had to leave because I didn't have XYZ. Well, no, your load sheet says you had XYZ on the truck. And then when you're coming back, check the unload sheet. Where is the remaining material? Because, wasted wire, wasted conduit, wasted breakers, that's all costly. And so are extra trips to the hardware store. All of the different things that you have to do as part of preparing for that job. And then again, you want to streamline your RMA process. Don't pay your highest paid guy to stand on site and call an RMA in. Bring that back to the office and let that get done. And then also leverage our online service center. I mean, that's a really great resource for you guys. You can go in there, type in the information, and get your RMA initiated without sitting on hold with service or any of that. And it gives you more time to free up your techs, to show them what they forgot to load. Just kidding. But I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can really streamline what kind of jobs you want to do, and what kind of jobs you are willing to do, and what kind of jobs you're prepared to do, and which ones you can do better.
Yep. I think one thing too with that online service center is as you start working with SMA, let us help you get that set up for you and your team. It gives you a portal where you can see every RMA or service case in one space. So the entire office has visibility. You don't have, some cases under this installer and another case under the monitoring address, and everything's all over, and you spend more time trying to figure out what's going on than just solving the issues. So that's something we're more than happy to help you get set up as a company. And then once you get it set up, show you how to utilize it most effectively.
I think we're ready for the next slide.
All right.
And then this is where we talk about SMA. So how can SMA help you? Well, obviously, we have the skill and the know-how. We have a large variety of the inverters that you're going to come across in the field. We have the most reliable and the very first grid-tied inverter ever that was ever installed in the United States. So you have a wealth of knowledge coming from the SMA branch, and capitalize on that. Get as much information as you can while you're learning. Get trained on DC stringing. And to do that, if you scan the QR code on the home repowering, you can stay connected with some of that stuff as the additional trainings come out. Or if you need help with a site that you've been to, the customer say you ask the customer to send you some pictures of what they have out there, and you figure out how it's strung and you need some help from us. The first QR code here on the left will lead you to the intake form that will get you in front of our apps team and let you have some viable resources so you know what you're buying and you know what you're taking to the site before you go there.
And
Yep.
you'll get the presentation. So in case you can't snap that right now, you'll get access to the presentation and the QR codes and the resources as well.
And I know we're running short on time, but I do want to point out the one on the right, if you don't have a project but would like to just continue to learn more, that's the QR code there on the right. And one thing that you're seeing on the left is a really cool piece of information we have out there. It's called the SMA Repowering Quick Guide. Our applications engineers went through and looked at all the SMA models that we've produced in the last, say, 10 or 15 years, and then also looked at some of the most installed inverters out there during that same time period, and give you essentially either a one-to-one replacement or a replacement that would work but may need a little bit of reconfiguration. So if you're trying to make this really easy for your installers or someone new to repowering, that's a great piece of information that people can use to make it just a little bit easier to go after this kind of project.
For sure. And I think when we initially went over this, Claire was going to drop that in the chat so that people had it, since the QR code leads you to having us help you.
Yep.
It really, that's a dynamite piece of work. And I never went, to be frank, when we got those, I never even flipped it over and looked at it. And then when I did, I was like, man, this could have answered so many questions to customers without me having to take that call. So it's a really, really good resource. And somebody spent a lot of time getting that prepared for you guys, and definitely look at it. And just to kind of go back over what we talk about, you just want to look at SMA as a good partner for you. Look at it from a standpoint of, this is going to be largely what I'm seeing in the field that's aging out because it's been in the industry for so long. Get connected with SMA's landing page and complete the questionnaire if you need help. Reach out to our repowering team. Get a full analysis before you start estimating it to the customer. We'll suggest system sizes, specifications, what will work, won't work, and ask you some questions as well in return if we need those. And then again, reach out to your BayWa inside, outside salesperson and ask them, how much is this going to cost me? If you're doing a whole bunch of work like this, your salesperson's going to come to me and say, hey, what can we do to leverage more work for this customer? It's a big giant circle of love, and we want to bring you into that love.
Yep. And BayWa is one of our great stocking partners of the Sunny Boy Smart Energy. So generally these jobs are can come up out of nowhere, and you need the product now, not in a few weeks. And BayWa is a great partner for that. And if you start to do a lot of volume in this arena, we'd be happy to talk about our SPA program with you to get some, volume pricing on the work that you're doing. So,
so here's some additional resources for you too. QR codes. These are also going to get sent out to you. This is going to give the initial question we had about repowering with the Selectria or the Xantrak inverter.
Yep.
We have large scale repowering solutions over on the far right, commercial C&I repowering, and then of course home repowering. So you're going to find that you have a wealth of information available to you. And again, don't forget, we'll be at NABCEP doing the same type of information, and you'll have hands-on to our apps engineers for more questions. And so please, if you're going to NABCEP, please reach out to us so that we can connect further as well.
Yep.
Amazing. Let's do one more poll question. After this webinar, do you feel more prepared to repower legacy systems? There's yes, somewhat, not at all. Honest answers, just to give us the real truth.
Yep. And I will just, while you're all answering the question there, just point out that our apps engineering team is super responsive. We've got a lot of support for you all. So please don't try to do this alone. Utilize us beyond making an inverter that works for these systems. We want to help you understand how you can make this a real part of your business and ultimately help all these homeowners out here that a lot of them just feel lost and abandoned because maybe their original installer is no longer in business. So I would love to see repowering as an opportunity and not a black eye on the solar industry, because we weren't able to help these homeowners and these pioneers that purchased these solar systems 10, 15 years ago and got this industry off the ground.
That's just like amazing. I'm so appreciative of both of you to not just like share the general idea about repowering. Brandon, you just pointed it out, like the fact that's so great about it's like helping customers that are stranded. And Tanya, you said regain confidence in the power. That's just one side of the coin. The other part is that business opportunity, right? Winning new customers through repowering and these amazing upselling opportunities, whether it's like the margarita plug, service contracts, or you name it, but also access to whole home energy management and future-proofing housing, all this other potential that is still there. It's just amazing. And thank you so much for your support, for your partnership. We really appreciate you. And the results, I think, speak for themselves. The majority says, yes, they do feel more prepared to repower. And for those of you who still have questions or some of the topics are missing that we haven't really touched upon, please reach out to SMA, to Tanya and Brandon, but also to us. Your BayWa team is available for you. Have a look out for the email with the presentation and more resources Tanya mentioned. I hope you all had a wonderful webinar. Thank you for your time and for attending today. Thank you, Tanya and Brandon, for being here
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you all. Sorry, can't figure out how to stop sharing. There we go.
You did.
Wonderful. Thanks, Daniela. I appreciate everybody.
Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.